Hey, Professor O'Neill, this is Mason Beuhring. I know that you had said to just send you a few screenshots, but I figured this would probably be an easier way to explain my process. I'm sure you could derive what I did from the screenshots, but I felt like this might be a little bit more interactive for you. So basically what I did, this is my main design, my final renderings in Illustrator, and then from Illustrator I transitioned those or imported those over into my InDesign file, and that's how I built my book. But I'll just kind of take you through the process. Basically, each of these, I scanned these in as individual pages. And if I take away the boxes layer, you can kind of see what I mean. In my original sketches, what I did is whenever I sketched them in, I made sure not to put a outside box because I knew I was going to have to kind of resize it because the size of my sketching paper was different than the size of the book that I was going to create. So basically what I did is whenever I scanned them through a high-res scanner, I went in, did the image trace as you suggested, and actually I can kind of show you this one. This is the front cover I just did tonight. And so I scanned that in, and once I did the image trace, I expanded it, and then I ungrouped everything, and I would delete out the background color and stuff like that, things that I didn't really want to show up. Then it would make it easier for me to kind of manipulate the sketch a little bit if I needed to. And then from that, I would regroup it after I've deleted all the sections that I wanted to delete. And then I would copy and paste it over. And this is actually, I'll show you the final rendering of it. This one here. So that's my final rendering of the front cover. Obviously the text is going to come in InDesign. I've actually already done that, and I'll show it to you here in a moment. But yeah, that's basically how I built this book. And then so whenever I had everything in the correct positioning, I've expanded everything correctly. I made sure all the spacing was there that I needed to make sure I had enough space for text. Then I would add my boxes. And that was kind of the final seal of approval for that page, at least on my part. And so I think it worked out really well. The lines weren't as clean as I had hoped on my scan, but I think actually the grunginess kind of accents what I was going for pretty well, but I will let you be the judge of that one, obviously. But so that's kind of my process. If you look, I would copy and paste my drawings or my scans, each scene one by one into the drawing layer, and then again from there, once I positioned it correctly, I would add in my boxes. And then I did the same thing basically for the word bubbles. Whenever I sketched everything out, I kind of had a roundabout idea of how much dialogue I wanted to put into each scene, and so I did a few test runs to see how much space I would need for like a 12-point to 8-point font variations, and it seemed to work out pretty well. So that's what I did on my word bubble as well. I did that as a separate layer. And then layer 4 is basically, it was just kind of like a safety layer. Whenever I would do the image trace on some of them, some sections of color or of the white background would be cut out whenever I didn't necessarily want it to be. So to counter that, I basically just did this safety layer, layer 4. It's just a big background white rectangle, and it actually helped. The white rectangle is the size of the page. And so whenever I imported everything over into InDesign, it worked out really well. So this is actually all of that page, including the white background. So I would, and I did it all in the exact same size from Adobe Illustrator into InDesign. So everything's the same size here. But this is, this is my book. Obviously, InDesign isn't showing as high of quality as I would like it to, but everything I assure you is good, and in my final PDF, as you can see here, everything turned out pretty well, I think at least. And so I'm very proud of it. I will say I do apologize. I was only able to do half of this total book, so I only did a part 1 leading up to where my wife actually gave birth to our daughter. And again, I apologize for not following through with that. I fully understand that I'm going to have to take a hit on points. I'm prepared for that, but I am proud of what I was able to accomplish. So hopefully you like it. I'm excited to hear your feedback, and I wanted you to know I'm very thankful for this class. Have a good evening, and I hope you enjoy your summer.